Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. We didn't have our pre-chat banter.
I know, which is always sad, but it is it's 17:36. What time's that in normal time? 25 to 6. The missus is in the gym. Then she's going to have a shower, thank God. And then she's going to want to start chopping veg. So I thought,
Ah,
quick, let's bang in quick before she starts making a noise in my recording
got it.
studio, which she
Yeah.
insists on calling her kitchen.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I know. Like eating, it takes priority. Ridiculous.
Yeah, who needs food?
I know. Happy Labour Day weekend.
Thank you.
I looked up Labour Day because I thought, well, it's a national holiday, so it doesn't sound like too much is going on. But now I understand. I also looked up, do you remember I texted you the other day and said, why aren't you supposed to wear white after Labour Day? And you said that you
Yeah,
don't know, but you do
I
anyway.
didn't know. Yeah.
I looked it up. Are you sufficiently interested into why you're not supposed to wear white?
Sure, why aren't we supposed to wear white?
Because apparently only the well-heeled could afford white clothes, such as like linens, like light summer clothes. And so if you wore white after Labor Day, it was basically seen as showing off, as like an ostentatious show of wealth that you could afford these nice clothes and have nice hot summer
Oh,
holidays and stuff. So that's why apparently it's just seen as showing off. It's not very exciting. I was hoping that there'd be something more exciting to it, but
no, it's not, because I've like worn white after Labor Day, just been like, because I'm like, well, who's like, it didn't really make sense to me. And now I know why.
there
Interesting.
you go. But I don't really think that that's
No, it's not that big of a deal.
relevant anymore.
Yeah, not like breaking some terrible rule.
No, I think like 100 years ago, you would have been seen as a terrible show off. But I think
Yeah.
in these
I think
days,
I'm okay now.
in these days, I think that you're socially acceptable. Crack on, wear white, go mad.
Yeah.
There
Okay. Well, there you go, people.
you go. Every day's a school day.
Yeah.
Um, Before we discuss this week's episode, can I just do a quick shout out to one of
Yeah.
our listeners?
Of course.
I think that we can both agree that we have hands down the best listeners ever.
Yeah, we do.
And Diane, I'm sure that we must have mentioned Diane on the podcast before, but Diane, when we post
Mhm.
our little clips on when we do the episode release and we post the little clips on Instagram, Diane
Mhm.
does all of those.
Mhm.
And this is just something that she just offered up, just said, look, I've done this. You can use it if you want. Don't worry if you don't want to. And of course, we said, yeah, because they're flipping brilliant. But
Mhm.
she just continues to do this out of the kindness of her heart, which I think is brilliant anyway. But when she sent the next couple along, she said in her email that our last episode really kind of warmed her heart when we were talking about
Mhm.
Hannah.
Mhm.
And she said that she does a thing at church, or her church does a thing. It might have a proper name, but you know that I'm agnostic and don't go
Yeah.
to church, so I'm probably
Yeah.
butchering this. But apparently,
That's okay.
there's a thing that she does at her church where they write
Prayer
down,
requests. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she put in if this is the correct terminology, like put in a prayer request for Hannah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I just think how lovely and wonderful are our listeners.
Mhm.
I just thought that was like such a
Yeah,
nice,
it was so cool.
yeah, such a nice thing. And I think it just shows what a fantastic community this is, because we've got Hannah over in Germany, never met each other before, don't know each other from Adam. And here we have Diane across the other side of the world doing this lovely thing for Hannah because
Mhm.
of something that she heard on our podcast. And I just love this community that we've built. And I just think that we've just got the best listeners. I really do.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought it was so thoughtful and kind. And I agree, our listeners are just amazing. Like, I feel very grateful and blessed. And yeah, I read that email and I just thought it was so kind and thoughtful of Diane to do that for Hannah. And
Yeah.
see, Hannah, you have people praying for you all over the world. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm sure those of us that don't pray like my
Yeah.
terrible heathen
You
self,
heathen,
um,
you.
I know, just send positivity anyway.
Yeah, positive thoughts, vibes, whatever you have, right?
Yeah. And I am going to take this opportunity, if I may, to big you up and do a little appreciation spot for you because I
Me?
think, for you, because I think that 90% of the reason, it's probably more than that actually, that we have such brilliant listeners is because of you. Because I know that quite a large proportion of people found the podcast through your involvement. And I think that you are such a warm, wonderful, giving person and have such like
Oh,
generosity of spirit and such a big heart, and that like-minded people gravitate towards you and therefore have gravitated towards the podcast. And that's why the people that we have who are listening in to us, tuning in, and engaging with us are such wonderful people, and why our community is so positive and lovely. I think that most of that is down to you. So thank you.
oh, thank you, Melissa.
You don't have to thank me.
I'm
I love
not
you.
good at receiving compliments, but
Well, I think you
thank you
should get
so
better
much.
at it.
Yeah.
There you
Um,
go. That was perfect. You don't need to say more than that. You've said thank you. You've accepted it. Take it. Let's move on.
okay.
Because I don't want you to undo any of it and start like trying
No,
to
it meant a lot to
wheedle out
me.
of it.
So
Good.
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh God, I'm sweating. It's it's so appropriate that we're doing an episode called Hotbox because that is my current
Yeah.
situation. It is
Oh, your
sweaty in
kitchen
this
is hot.
kitchen. Yeah, it's boiling here today. I feel like I've got two modes. It's either hoodie or muscle shirt. And today
Okay.
it's very much muscle shirt.
Yeah. And you're still
Ugh,
sweating.
I'm still sweating. It's bloody boiling here. But we are going to do Hotbox, which is
Hot
episode
box.
109. Are you ready to crack on? Should we crack on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, this one originally aired on the 10th of May 2018. It was written by Philip Iskov, who wrote two upcoming season 2 episodes, and directed by Nicole Rubio, who also directed season 2, episode 15 of Station 19, and directed 12 episodes of Grey's Anatomy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. None of them featured Dr. Karina DeLuca.
Well, that's not cool.
Deeply uncool. She missed out on the opportunity of witnessing Stefania Spampinato feel the marks.
Yeah.
But we have our customary cold open. And this time it's a couple preparing to divorce who are having an argument in their living room because the wife is having a moment and is burning their wedding album and some sort of ornament that symbolizes their love. And she retrieves the wedding album from the fire, burning her thumb in the process, but the ornament burns on, and when they leave the room, an ember hops out of the fire and ignites their rug. So then we've got a few bits that kind of don't fit in. They're just like bitty bits. I thought this one was kind of a couple of bitty bits and then like 90% incident.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was good. I liked this one.
Oh no, it was a banger of an episode. I loved it.
Yeah.
But shall we go through the bitty bits?
Sure, let's do it.
You got a preferred order?
No, just rock them out.
Let's smash them out. Okay. So I started with Travis. So he has finally let Grant cook breakfast for him. It's eggs in a jar, essentially.
Yep.
But apparently, it's the most delicious thing that Travis has ever eaten. And he tells Grant that they are going to have to take it glacially slow. Grant says that he just cooked the eggs at 140 degrees for 40 minutes because he knows when something is worth the wait. Then, if we fast forward to the end of the day after the incident, Travis goes to find Grant back at the restaurant, and he's decided after the events of the day that he doesn't want to take it slow after all, and they share a little smooch.
Yep.
Does that sound about it for Travis and Grant?
Yep. Nothing too overly exciting.
No. Have you got anything to
No,
say about Travis and Grant?
not yet. In future episodes, yes, but not yet.
Yeah, me either, except for Grant still seems like a top bloke, doesn't he, really? Saying
Yeah,
that he's happy to go at Travis's pace. Maybe he's a bit pretentious. Travis said that he'd be happy with the IHOP.
a little bit.
And, it's a little bit pretentious cooking eggs in a jar for 40 minutes. But hey, everyone's got their quirks.
Yep.
And he seems like a stand up bloke. Andy and Ryan, they appear to have moved on from secret Scrabble games to, I'm sticking with it, to now running. So they're out on a run, and Andy confides in Ryan that Pruitt's been a bit quiet with her, and she assumes that it's just because Pruitt's feeling unwell due to the cancer treatments. But we know that it's because he's sold her and Jack down the river to Ripley.
Yep.
That was quite, I mean, they literally just had that one scene, didn't they, outside of the incident? So I don't have anything to say about that unless you do.
No,
No.
nothing over interesting there either.
Okay, so then if we move on to Pruitt, I know Pruitt and Andy have a bit at the end, but I've kind of lumped that in with Joe's bar because I think quite a bit happens at Joe's bar. So should we just
Okay.
do Pruitt pre-incident and then do Pruitt post-incident? Post-incident?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Cool,
that
cool,
works
cool.
better.
Yeah, I thought that worked better. Glad you agree. So Warren is mopping out the barn. Pruitt comes by and says that he's feeling better. So Warren says that's good because he's got a bone to pick with him, and then calls Pruitt out on outing him to Miranda when he told her about all the dangerous calls that Warren had been keeping from her. Then Pruitt asks Warren about how it went when he told Miranda he wanted to become a firefighter. And Warren says that it was the hardest thing he'd ever had to do, which, considering the things he's gone through in his life, is saying something. But he knew it was right for him, so it had to be done. This appears to inspire Pruitt to go and find Andy, who is in the gym. And he tells her that she shouldn't get her hopes up about becoming captain. And he looks as if he's about to admit to her that he didn't recommend her, but then he bails at the last minute. And so I think that's it for Pruitt pre-incident.
Yep.
Have you got anything to? I mean, there wasn't a great deal there, was there? Have you got anything to say about that?
No, most of the meat and the bones on this one was the incident, so
Yeah, it was,
there
wasn't
wasn't
it?
really much around. Yeah, around
No,
it.
no. I mean, I think the only thing that I would say about this particular little Pruitt section is that I found it to be a really clumsy comparison to draw, with Warren telling his wife that he wanted to change professions and then Pruitt confessing to Andy.
Yeah.
I didn't get where he was going with it. And I wondered if he had something that he wanted to tell Andy, something difficult to tell her about his cancer or something, the way he was saying to
Hmm.
Warren, oh, how did Miranda take it when you told her this thing? But then I remembered, no, actually, no, because Andy's been looped in now on all his medical decisions. So it's not
Hmm.
that. I just didn't draw the comparison at all with what he was asking Warren and then how that related to him having to tell Andy
Yeah.
that he was that just me, or did those two things not link in at all?
No, that wasn't really done that well. That was
No.
kind of a ball dropped, I think.
Yeah, because I think in his
Yeah.
mind he'd put the house before blind family loyalty, but then he
Yeah.
knows that Andy will take it as a betrayal, and neither of those things are similar to having to tell your spouse that you want to change careers.
Right.
It was just weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
Um, we got a sort of girl scene,
Okay.
didn't we? On the little walkway on the little platform that overlooks the barn. It wasn't anything like the day drinking on the porch thing, but with just feeding off scraps here, aren't we? With stuff like that. But Andy goes up to where Vic and Maya are on this platform, and she says that she and Jack have just authorized some new gadgets. And Maya says she's excited that the captain's race is almost over, and then it'll be just Andy authorizing stuff. But Andy says she doesn't want to count her chickens because they've still got to go before the board and before Ripley, whose name earns a
Mhm.
growl and a yuck from Vic. And Maya tells the girls that Ripley told her she was captain material and that she should go for lieutenant. And then Andy agrees that Maya should go for lieutenant, but Maya says that she wants to concentrate on making Andy captain first. So I have some observations about this little section. Did you have anything that you wanted to say about it?
No, but this scene is our cover
Is
for
it?
this. Yeah.
I've downloaded it, the
Hmm.
clip, but I haven't played it
Hmm.
yet.
Yeah. When she was like, "Let's focus on making you captain," that's like our
That's our little.
that scene is
Okay.
our yeah. So it's
Thanks,
exciting.
Diane. Good choice.
Yes,
Good
thanks, Diane.
choice. Um, because I thought when Maya first told them what Ripley said to her, and this might just be me, but did Andy sort of grit her teeth and raise her
Hmm.
eyebrows a bit and shake her head a little bit as if she was, I don't know, surprised, disappointed, annoyed by it in some way?
Oh, of course she did. Yep, I saw that too.
Okay, so it
And then
wasn't
she
just me
tried to
kind
make
of
up for it
right.
later on.
But
Yeah,
then it was a total afterthought for me and an attempt at being
yeah,
supportive.
yeah.
And it just annoyed me. Like when I think about my friends getting like these great work opportunities or something amazing happening for my friends, I
Yeah,
literally cannot imagine being in the headspace where I'm like, how is
yeah.
she not jumping up and down like Maya? That is flipping amazing, mate. Is that not a natural reaction to be over the moon for your friend?
I guess not when you're Andy Herrera.
No, apparently not. And then Maya, of course, as always, makes Andy her priority straight away and says, no, 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 let's get you to where you need to be first.
Yeah,
Andy's
yeah.
always her priority. Well, I guess they have that in common, that Andy is always both Maya and Andy's
And
first
Andy's
priority.
priority. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so funny.
it's true though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. Andy's priority for sure.
Yeah. Anything more to say about that?
No,
Okay. Dino, Mr. Miller.
you know. Yep.
So Dean has arrived home at dawn with JJ, the Duracell bunny. They have been to a concert, which is apparently for JJ's job as a music journalist.
Hmm.
They stopped for ramen at 4 a.m. I'm tired just thinking about it. Dean now has 1 hour before he needs to go on shift, but instead of napping, JJ wants to play Scrabble.
Hmm.
There's a lot of Scrabble going on in this
Yeah,
episode.
there is.
And then fast forward to the station when Dean finally does tip up to work, and bless him, he is falling asleep sitting up, literally. Ben wakes him up and Dean tries to cover, saying that he's just meditating. And he says that Travis has taught him the downward puppy pose
Yeah, yeah,
and both the sad and happy baby poses. Don't know why that made me laugh so much, but I really enjoyed that. Um, and no sooner has Ben gone than Dean is falling asleep sitting up again, bless him.
yeah.
But that leads us nicely on to the incident
Okay.
where Dean's sleep or lack thereof has a dramatic effect on things. So, shall we smash on with the incident?
Yeah, I'm excited. This was a good one.
It was a really good incident, this one. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I think, again, is because the people that I love were in danger. And somehow or other, in some perverse way, that's when I really enjoy it. It's when people
Yeah.
I love might die. I don't think that's normal. But the other day, when there was a woman trapped on the balcony with her newborn baby, couldn't care less.
Right. Because
Bored.
everybody that you love was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now that Maya might be cooked alive, like some of Grant's eggs in a jar, I am like really into it.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah. I think I might learn some things about myself when I get further into my psychology degree, because I think that that's right. But hey, um, so the team turn up at the home of the warring, soon-to-be divorced couple from the cold open.
Okay.
Ryan and his partner Rice have been called because, as we know, the wife was going a little bit nuts, burning the
Mm-hmm.
husband's stuff, and he thinks that she's been stealing his things. He
Mm-hmm.
thinks there's some more stuff missing. So that justifies Ryan being there. I was pleased to
Yep.
see Officer Rice again because that means comedy.
I thought of you when she
Did
was on.
you?
I did, yeah.
Oh, thanks, mate. Ryan apparently appears to be a firefighter now because when the team turn up, he tells them the fire seems to be contained.
Yeah.
He's
He's all this yeah.
Yeah, he suddenly gained that knowledge. But the team say that they're going to stuff the turkey, which apparently is one of Pruitt's tricks, whereby you essentially attack the fire from inside as well as outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so they say they're going to do this by gaining entry into the house through the garage.
Okay.
Were you just mocking the way I said garage?
Yeah, I am. I'm mocking you.
Do you want to do your Essex version of garage?
No, I very much enjoy the way you say garage.
Garage. The
Yeah.
garage. Just thought you might want to do your English accent. Garage.
No, because I feel like you're mocking me now.
No, I love how specific your accent is, that I genuinely think that you've got like an Essex slash South London thing going on when
I
you
I didn't realize like I had my own. Yeah, like my dialect was that specific. Like point
it's
on.
like properly specific. It's really good.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, I like it. Anyway, the garage slash
Mhm.
garage is going to be is going to be problematic because we heard from the husband that the wife is a bit paranoid and that she has installed a thumbprint sensor which she uses to gain access, and it's only geared up for her thumbprint, hers and hers alone. Now the problem is that when she was hooking the photograph album out of the fire and she burnt her thumb, she blistered it, and so now the sensor doesn't recognize it. There is an override panel, and Jack, who is captain for the day, tells everyone to put their radios on 3 and sends Miller to said override panel to manually input a code that was given to them by the wife to unlock the door to the house. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, because Miller has been up all night and then been playing a game of Scrabble instead of taking a nap, he's forgotten the code and he's put his radio on the wrong channel. So he can't ask for the correct code, and he puts the wrong one in twice, which trips the system, puts it in lockdown. So instead of the door from the garage to the house opening, the big up and over garage door slams down. Both doors are locked and everyone is locked in. So we've got
Mm-hmm.
the wife. I didn't take a note of her name. Was it Sarah?
Oh.
You don't know either.
Mm-mm.
Haven't done my due diligence on this one, have I? I'm just going to call her Sarah. She looks like a Sarah. She could be a Sarah.
Okay.
Let's call her Sarah. Anyway, she's locked in there with Ryan, Rice, Jack, Maya, and Andy. It turns out that the wife works in cybersecurity and she hasn't necessarily built a garage, more a fortress. All the walls and doors are made of reinforced steel. There is no secondary way of getting in and unlocking the door. They just have to wait for a few hours for the system to reset itself. But of course, the problem is that there's a fire in the house that's going to move towards the garage, so they don't have a few hours. So, with Captain Jack and Lieutenant Andy locked inside, it's down to Montgomery to take point outside. And there's a couple of other stations that turn up at some point to help out. Vic finds Dean and asks him why he hasn't been answering his radio, which is when they realise that he's been on the wrong channel the whole time. And when he
Mm-hmm.
finds out that he's inadvertently trapped everybody inside the garage, bless him, Andy, inside the garage, seems more concerned that Ryan and Jack are getting along, calling them laughing buddies, than about their current predicament. And it's down to Maya to kind of get everyone searching for tools, while Travis and co are outside trying to cut through the steel door with angle grinders. And Andy's just whittering on, saying that she's going to tell Jack about her and Ryan because she doesn't want to seem doubly mean by rubbing it in his
Mm-hmm.
face when she's captain. And Maya, to her credit, is impressed at Andy's badassery, as she calls it, assuming that she's going to be captain, saying that her job is done until she makes lieutenant and gives Andy a run for her money. I'm sure you've got stuff to say about that when we finish our overview of the scene,
Yeah.
because I bloody have. So, we then get some comic relief from Officer Rice, who asks Andy and Maya how she can let Jack down gently because she said that they had bonded over disaster preparedness. I mean, it's a classic. Who hasn't bonded over disaster preparedness? Things are bound to get a bit sexy, aren't they?
I guess so. Get heated up.
Exactly. And she said that it was now quite clear that he had a crush on her.
That was so funny. Like that literally made me laugh out loud.
It was
She's like,
so
he
good.
definitely has feelings for me.
It was so good. And she says that he deserves to have someone great, but that someone is not her.
Yeah.
She needs to head it off at the pass before it gets hotter in the garage, in the carriage, and emotions run high. And Maya and Andy don't get a chance to answer her before the wife finds her tool set, which is essentially a pouch of tiny, tiny screwdrivers.
Yeah. Like tiny.
Yeah, which I don't think is what Maya quite had in mind.
No, those are like for my sunglasses. I mean, like, no, like glasses
Yeah, for
screwdrivers.
tightening the arms. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Rice, however, manages to put them to good use because apparently Ryan is not the only one with a history of vehicle theft. And she uses them to access the boot of that. Wait, hold on. You don't call it a boot. You call it a trunk. The trunk of the car.
You guys call the trunk a boot?
Yes.
We have the bonnet and we have the boots.
Yeah, a bonnet and a boot. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I don't know why. I have no idea why a boot.
Bonnet and boot.
Makes no sense to me, but there we have it. But she gains access to the boot of the car that is sharing the garage with them because there's a jack in there. And then they try to use the jack to open the garage door just enough so that Travis can get the jaws of life underneath and lever the door open. But unfortunately, that plan doesn't work, and the garage is getting increasingly hotter as the fire is getting closer to them. And obviously, there's no air conditioning because that was cut off when the system went into override.
Yep.
Back outside, Dean, no doubt driven by guilt and desperation, starts pounding at the windows with a sledgehammer, trying to ventilate the fire. But the glass is shatterproof. However, the walls are not shatterproof. So Dean and Warren start smashing through the external wall of the house just under the window until they manage to break a hole that's big enough to get a hose in and start attacking the fire.
Mhm. Mhm.
Meanwhile, inside the garage, it's now 112 degrees. The stress is starting to get to Maya a little bit. That's quite warm, isn't it? 112 degrees.
Yeah, it is. Especially being confined and stuck with other people.
Yeah, that must be a
Yeah.
really claustrophobic
Yeah. That's I
environment.
can't
And when the
imagine.
air's warm, it feels thick and it doesn't feel like there's enough
Yeah, it's
oxygen,
like
does it?
stagnant. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I mean, my kitchen was quite warm just now, but it wasn't 112 degrees.
You're like you're like it's too warm.
Yeah, it's probably like 87 in my kitchen. I'm like, whoo. Meanwhile, there's the guys in full turnouts in a tiny little garage, baking at 112 degrees. Maya's starting to lose her temper a little bit, and they all lay on the floor because that's the coolest spot. And Ryan has a bit of a madcap idea to hotwire the vintage Mercedes in the garage and use it as a battering ram to smash through the garage door. But that gets poo pooed by Jack and Andy. And
Poo pooed.
poo pooed. That's the technical terminology, don't you know?
Apparently.
And initially, Ryan says that he's going to carry on regardless because Jack isn't his captain, but it's at Andy's urging, saying this is the wrong thing to do, that he agrees to scrap the plan.
Hmm.
Travis makes a smart move outside. He remembers that Pruitt went through a situation similar to this where his team got trapped in a garage. And so he has Vic call Pruitt to ask him how he got his team out. And unfortunately, Pruitt tells Vic that although he did manage to get the door open, it was too late and that his team had died from the heat in his situation.
Yeah, that was helpful.
Yeah, I know, right? But because it's not his first rodeo, he realizes that some of 19 must be trapped inside a garage for Vic to have made that call. Vic, it doesn't take much, does it, to pry any information out of Vic?
No.
She basically just offers up, oh, yeah, your kid's one of the people trapped inside getting cooked alive, by the way.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, back in said oven, as Rice predicted, emotions start to run high. Jack dampens Andy's attempts to come up with a plan, saying not everything has a happy ending. They all start bickering. Maya asks them to give it a rest and says that it's a shame that all this is happening now and not further into the future when she possibly could have been in the driver's seat, which Andy then takes immediate offence at. This is all whilst Pruitt is driving over and his pickup screeches to a halt at the scene and he yells at Andy through the door in no uncertain terms that she doesn't get to just give up, that she needs to shake off the heat, pull it together and find
Yeah.
a way out.
Yeah.
Whilst Travis is ringing around furiously trying to get hold of a battering ram that's not a vintage Mercedes. And then Maya and Andy have a lovely moment because Maya crawls over to Andy and takes her by the arm and asks her what her rule is. Andy says back to her that it's embrace the pain. And Maya says
Yep.
they're going to get through it together. And it's then that Andy realizes that the only thing that's going to get them out is the exact same thing that's trapping them in there, which is fire. So Maya then chimes in that they need an explosive, which is when Andy then notices the pilot light on the water heater. And between the two of them, Jack and Ryan, they come up with a plan to essentially turn the water heater into a missile to fire at the garage door. So there's your battering ram. So they get it all sorted out. Everyone has a little role to play in preparing the heater to launch at the door. They all take cover, but then at the last moment, Maya notices that the release valve on the water heater is loose and she's worried that it's going to fly off and injure somebody. So she runs over to what is essentially now a bomb to try and
Hmm.
secure it. And it goes off and the blast throws her back against the wall.
Yep.
Um, And Andy goes to pick her up off the floor, and then we hear Andy from Maya's perspective, and Andy sounds distant, and we can barely hear Andy. But what we can hear is this high pitched ringing. So Maya's
Yeah.
hearing appears to have been damaged. And Andy sort of says, "Oh, what did you do that for?" And Maya this time doesn't say it could have hurt somebody. She says it could have hit you, to Andy.
Yeah.
However, the plan has worked. The garage door is now open. The first one in is Pruitt, and he goes straight into captain mode, doesn't he? And says everyone needs IV fluids and to shut the gas off. Once captain, always a captain, I guess. And it now appears as though the warring couple are going to be reunited after watching basically their whole lives go up in flames. So, did I hit all the main points of the incident?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Thoughts, feelings?
I just really like this one. I thought from from an outside perspective, it was a really good. We got to see, different sides of their acting skills.
Yeah.
I thought that Danielle did a really good job. I thought Jana did a good job with just making Andy be a little bit more vulnerable, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I really enjoyed this scene. I liked the banter between Rice and Ryan, and I loved that when she went up to. I loved Danielle and Andy's reactions when she went up to them.
Yeah, yeah.
That he's for sure got to have a crush on her. He has
Yeah.
feelings for her, and the look on their face was just like, what? I just
Yeah.
loved that one. Like I said, it made me laugh out loud. I might have rewound it a couple times and watched it. Um, I loved the vulnerability between Pruitt and Andy for the dad daughter scene.
Yeah.
I just loved it overall. I thought it was a good incident for being confined to this one area.
Yeah.
Um, and not really moving around much and only involving just that particular part of the crew. Um, I loved the vulnerability in Dean. Um, Especially we'll get to that when we get to I'm sure with the Joe's
Joe's
bar
bar.
scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I just overall just really appreciated this incident and the way it was shot by the actors and the way it was written. I just loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I didn't think there was a weak point in it. I
Yeah.
just thought it was overall brilliant. It's the second time that we've
Mhm.
seen Travis have to take a senior role,
Mhm.
take over like a pseudo captain role, isn't it?
Right.
And I
Sure.
think it suits him. I
Mhm.
thought that he did really well. I think it was a smart move to call Pruitt for advice.
Mhm.
That was a really great move. As was the call to cool down the garage. Oh yeah, I skipped over that part somehow. I don't know how I missed
Mhm.
that. But yeah,
Yeah.
so he tells everybody to redirect their hoses, doesn't he? And not to
Mhm.
try and knock the fire out, to try and cool down the garage because that'll buy them some
Yeah.
time and
Right.
stop them from essentially cooking alive. That was just such a genius plan. But I thought that Travis handled it really well. I thought that
Yeah.
he was really agile in his thinking about how to tackle the scene, tackle the fire. He had like out of the box
He
ideas,
does.
and he didn't get any credit. Nobody
No.
patted him on the back and said, "Good job, Montgomery."
No, I agree. He did a good job, and I think even later on down the road when we see Chief Ross, she notices um, Travis's leadership qualities and abilities because she kind of nudges him to go out for lieutenant, and
Yeah,
he
that's
for
it.
sure has it. I think he'd be good at it. He just doesn't want the responsibility for some reason.
No, and I mean, I can see exactly where he's coming from, 100% where he's coming
Yeah,
from. But how did it take 5 years for somebody to
somebody else to
recognize that in
notice.
him and
Yeah,
point it out?
yeah,
Yeah, because he is just brilliant. He's cool under pressure, as I say, out of the box thinking, and yeah, zero credit.
yeah,
So we'll give him credit. Well done,
yeah.
Montgomery. Good
Good
job.
job.
Good job, Travis. Um, Jack. Poor Jack, seeing Andy and Ryan together. His little face when he saw them smiling and interacting, he was just fully gutted, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
And do you think his, like, not everything has a happy ending, defeatist attitude is directly related to losing Andy? The way he just sort of sits there and kind of gives up. Do you think that's directly related to realizing that he's lost Andy to Ryan?
Probably, if not 100%,
Yeah.
at least half or somewhat. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it may well do because he just seems quite grumpy about
Yeah.
it. And if the person that you love is, it's one thing if you're trapped in that situation, but I think if the person that you love is trapped in that situation, surely you've got more motivation to try and get
Hmm.
them out and both of you get
Yeah.
out. So it's almost, I don't know, it just seemed like maybe he just thought, ah, it's not worth it. Like, what's the
Yeah.
point? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? The way he said to her, not everything's got a happy ending, because he didn't get the happy ending that he
Uh-huh.
wanted with the picket fence and the little breaks and a B&B. But I mean, he was captain on that call. And I didn't think that was very captain like behavior to just sit down and give up.
Right. No, like Andy had to, yeah.
Yeah, because it should really be the preservation of the team,
Hmm.
and that's his
Hmm.
priority. Also, there are a couple of police officers in there and a
Hmm.
civilian, so surely he shouldn't have just sat down and gone, "Ha, que sera."
Hmm.
Uh, surely he should have been fighting as the captain. Like it was his duty, his responsibility to try and get everybody out and to not just to
Right.
sit down and I don't know. And for me, the person that had the most captain like attitude, who was looking for tools, not giving up, giving pep talks, noticing that the valve could hurt somebody, putting herself in the firing line to save others, was Maya. For me,
Okay.
you think it was Andy, though? You think Andy was the one that was most captain like in the situation?
Um, you make a good point about Maya. Um, so I think I could see it in both of them, but at both of them at different times, I would say. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, you're right. It took Maya to encourage and push Andy quite a bit, which is kind of what she does, right? Um,
Yeah, I think
mhm.
that Maya's just such a self motivated person
Yeah,
and she takes it upon herself to try and motivate
yeah,
others when she sees that they're lacking.
right.
She'll do that for
Yeah.
people. And like Andy wasn't interested in looking for the tools or anything.
Hmm.
When the discussion was about her and her boy
Hmm.
toys, she didn't want to look for the tools and everything. But when Maya turned it around and it became about her, when Maya said to her, and in a very joking, light-hearted way, said, I'm going to give you a run for your money when I make lieutenant. First, Andy sort of looks to the side and almost kind of rolls her eyes, and then changes the subject and says, come on, let's look for these
Hmm.
tools. So again, it's all the while the attention's on Andy. Andy's happy. As soon as the attention has to go on somebody else, not happy.
Yeah, Andy tends to be self-centered quite a bit.
Really
Yeah,
self-centered. And I didn't realize, I didn't pick up on that until this rewatch.
right.
And it's like, man, she can be a little bit, she's a little bit of a piece of work
I
sometimes.
agree. Yeah, I didn't realize it either the first time around. It's more the second time
Yeah.
around.
And then again, it's Maya who has to go to Andy when she goes over and takes her by the hand, takes her by the arm and says, come on, we'll get through this
Hmm.
together. It's Maya making the first
Yeah,
move, going to Andy.
yeah,
Andy's just sat in the corner and it's Maya that has to make the
yeah.
move. And and again, as I mentioned when we were going through it, when Andy asks her why she ran towards the bomb, Maya says, because it could have hit you.
Hmm.
She doesn't say this time, well, it could have hit somebody. She says, it could have hit
Yeah,
you. So Maya's literally put herself in the line of fire for
yeah,
Andy. She's being the dutiful best friend again
right.
and getting basically nothing in return for it. There's no payoff for Maya, is there?
No, there isn't. And that's one of the things that's so frustrating about Andy, for sure.
Just completely taken for
Hmm.
granted. Or if you wanted to practice your English and use a typical English phrase, you could say she gets mugged off.
Mugged off. Okay, got it.
There you go, mugged off.
Got
Perfect.
it.
Did you have anything more you wanted to have to say
No.
about that? So you happy to move on to Joe's bar?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I think it's supposed to be the next day because I think at some point Jack says what happened yesterday. So I'm going to assume it's the next day.
Okay.
And the team have gone for post fire drinks at Joe's bar. And Ben, Ryan, and Maya are talking at a table whilst Andy goes to the bar. And Ryan asks if
Hmm.
Jack and Andy always work so well together, even when they're fighting. And Ben says that from what he's seen, that's when they work best, is when they're fighting. And then he leaves to go and see Miranda, leaving Maya to finish off that conversation by saying that a fire station is a very intimate place because they see each other at their best and their worst every single day. Then Jack turns up. He goes and joins Vic and Dean at another table and he asks what happened with the override panel. And Dean's about to tell him, but then Vic jumps in with a credible lie, telling Jack that someone from 15 told her that it was fried from the get go and that they'd seen it sparking. So
Hmm.
when Jack goes to the bar, Dean thanks Vic, who says that he had her back. So now she's got his, that that's just what friends do. And Dean tells her that he won't be that distracted again as a call comes in from JJ that he then cancels.
Hmm.
So, as I say, Jack's trotted off to the bar, which is where Andy is. So they're there together, and Jack has figured out that Andy and Ryan are back together. And he's pretty upset about it and doesn't stop to show it, telling Andy that she didn't waste any time. And then Ryan comes and joins them at the bar, asks if there's a problem. And Jack turns his attention then to Ryan, accusing him of waiting in the wings to swoop in when the coast was clear.
Yep.
And then he tries to pressure Andy into telling him how long she and Ryan have been together. And he asks her if it's been going on since before they broke up. And she can't lie, so she just stays silent. So he then gathers that it was going on when they were still together and walks out. Then Pruitt comes in and says the next round is on him, which prompts Vic to call for shots. I'd love to party with Vic. I think I'd die. I don't think I'd survive it.
Yeah.
I'd be out with the right crowd if I did get into
Hmm.
trouble,
Yeah.
to be
Hmm.
fair. And what a way to go. I mean, if you're going to go, at least have fun while you do it, right? But Pruitt sits himself down next to Andy at the bar, and Andy thanks him for all of his support, which then guilts him into having a discussion with her about the captain's race. And he tries to kind of soften the blow a bit by saying maybe it'd be better if neither she nor Jack got the captaincy, because then nobody would have to pick sides and they'd all
Hmm.
be united against an outsider. And then he finally confesses that he supported neither her nor Jack to Ripley,
Hmm.
saying that neither of them have gone about it in the right way. They compromised their own situation, they lied to him, and that picking one of them would disrupt the family. So Andy then insinuates that it's him that they're going to be united against and tells him not to wait up because she won't be home. Then she saunters out of the bar, closely followed by Ryan.
Okay.
Did I miss anything significant?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts, feelings, etc. about all of this?
I liked it. I thought it was a good way to end it. But it wasn't overly done, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but it was just enough the way it was done. I liked the scene with Vic and Dean. I liked the scene with Jack and Ryan.
Yeah.
I liked each scene brought its own little flavor to it, I guess I'll say.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah, you thought so too?
I loved it. Yeah. And I think it's that whole
Yeah.
economy of writing again,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of the people that they employ to write for Station 19 seem to have this like gift of
Mm-hmm.
just having these. I mean, some of the scenes are like 15, 20 seconds long, if that, and you get so
Mm-hmm.
much out of them, but they're not melodramatic, they're not over dramatic, as you say, it's not overdone,
Yeah.
but they just somehow seem to use this economy of language that gets you to where you need to be, whether that's in
Yeah.
understanding how a character's feeling, establishing a dynamic, moving things on. And I thought this whole thing in Joe's Bar did that really, really well. So I
Yeah,
agree with
it
you.
did. Awesome.
Um, yeah, Maya's hearing is clearly back to normal because they're in a crowded, busy bar and she has absolutely no trouble understanding anybody at all.
Nope, not at all.
In light of what's to come, that may have been a boo boo.
Yeah.
And I'll go into more depth with it when we do our Lost Storylines episode that I know we keep talking about.
Yeah.
And we will do,
We'll
guys, I
do it.
promise.
It won't be a lost storyline that we miss out on that we don't do this one.
No, we will not be a victim of the Lost Storyline. It's
No.
coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Um, But I think that they've dropped the ball massively in dropping this hearing loss storyline
Yeah.
because I had a brief look at a government study
Okay.
that shows that this is off the top of my head because it's not for this episode.
Okay.
But I think I remember reading actually the study was done with firefighters in Michigan in your home state.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But I think I'm right in saying that it's something like 40% of firefighters had some hearing loss
Okay.
after like 5 years of service.
Okay.
And I think it was double that by the time they retire.
Oh gosh. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
So it's horrendous. Yeah. And so I think that this is like a really badly dropped ball from them. I think this
Yeah.
is obviously looking at those numbers, this is something they really should have pursued.
Mm-hmm.
And at least, if you're not going to pursue it, even if she's just going to have a temporary thing like a ruptured eardrum that repairs itself miraculously, don't have it like come in and out. Be consistent.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, at the moment, it seems to be back because she can hear everybody fine in Joe's.
Yeah.
And as we know in the next episode, there's a problem again. So
Yeah.
be consistent, come on. Um, the Dean and Vic stuff you said you loved. I loved that as well because I thought it showed how much of a family they are
Mm-hmm.
because they allow each other to mess up.
Yeah.
You know, Vic wasn't on him straight away. Vic jumped in for him and she didn't jump in, and then have a go at him about it, and say, I shouldn't have had to do that. She jumped in and said, no, you've done the same for me. And this is just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't have to say, but if it happens again, because he was on it and he was like, it's not going to happen again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And she did the same thing with her fear of fire. She told everyone, was prepared to accept the consequences, was going to tell then Jack and Andy.
Yep.
But the team stepped in and said, no, come on, we'll just fix it.
Yep.
And she's working to fix it. So there's always accountability. And I love that about them.
Yep. I do too.
They don't have to hold each other to account because they hold themselves to account.
Yeah.
And they've got this space to mess up and they still get taken care of. It is a proper family.
Yeah.
And I hope that Dean does the right. I can't remember, but I hope that Dean does the right thing and doesn't just ghost JJ.
Yeah. I don't remember. Is that awful?
I don't either. No, because I think so much happens, and
So
we do
much.
these deep dives, don't we?
Yeah.
now we're watching it with a view to doing these episodes, so we take deep dives. But I think you just so much goes on that when you watch it just for pleasure, you just pick up on the things you pick up on,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yep.
So I don't suppose either of us were overly upset about the Dean and JJ situation when we watched it the first time
Yeah,
around,
and we have
really.
this time we're more intentional about what we're watching for and things like that. So yeah,
That's the word.
yeah,
That's
for
the
sure.
word. Yeah, it's intentional. Yeah. And I wonder if there might have been a middle way,
Yeah.
like a middle road where he just saw her on his off days, or he just set himself a curfew and stuck to it
Hmm.
rather than just saying it won't happen again and binning JJ. But I
Right.
appreciated the sentiment.
Yeah. No, I that'll be something to look forward to in episodes coming up is more if that's addressed and how it's addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, shall we talk about the Jack, Andy, and Ryan debacle?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, what did you think of Jack's explosion and wanting to know when Andy and Ryan got together? Do you think he has a right to know, or do you think he was out of order?
The only reason I think he has a right to know is because it did happen, in my opinion, before they were officially separated and broken up. So that
Yeah,
does involve him because he was still with Andy. Um, if it would have just been like a clean cut and it happened after,
yeah,
it's not necessarily
yeah.
any of his business. But they are so close as a work family that I don't think he was necessarily out of line, but I think that Andy just did him so wrong. He just did him so
Hmm.
wrong. What do you think?
I I think if I were Jack, and I'm older than Jack, so maybe it's a thing that comes with age, or maybe it's because I'm a woman and I have a slightly different temperament. My ego isn't, generally speaking, as a general rule, I think, certainly in psychological circles, it's accepted that men pin a lot more emphasis on their ego and have a lot more pride. And it's much easier to hurt men's pride than women. Women tend to have a slightly different attitude towards things like this. So
Hmm.
so maybe it's just that I'm older, maybe it's that I'm female. But I think if I were Jack, I would just be like, you know what? I'm out of there. And I don't think I would care if they
Okay.
were together while we were together or not. I would just be like, you know what? It's over. Line under it, new chapter.
Okay. That's fair.
And I think if I was Jack's mate, I would just pull him aside and say, don't worry yourself about it. Just think of it as a lesson learned
Yeah.
and a bullet dodged because she's bad news. She
Yeah.
treated him badly, and so you've dodged a bullet.
Hmm.
However, I completely take your point and agree that she, yeah, she just did him wrong. She shouldn't have put him in the position where he had to ask,
Right.
"Were you cheating on me?"
Right. I agree.
And I think it is a fair question. Were you cheating on me?
Hmm.
Like I say, I wouldn't personally ask it, but I do understand why he felt the need
Hmm.
to ask it. So yeah, poor Jack. She has done him
Very
dirty.
wrong. Poor Jacko.
I know. And do you think that in that case it would have been kinder for her to just like lie to him and say, I mean, she could have even like got around it by careful word selection, like, I didn't cheat on you, Jack. Because in her head, they weren't ever an item, I don't think. I think she just thought they were fooling around. I think that because they never had that conversation, I think Jack thought that they were in this committed long term relationship, hence the proposal. But I think the reason she was so shocked by it was that she really didn't think it was a relationship. I really think she thought that it was just a bit of in between cool fun.
Yeah, and I mean that's fair too if that's what she really thought, but I mean she had to know that Jack felt differently.
Well, I mean, I think discovering a ring in his pocket,
Exactly. Exactly. I mean,
made that quite clear. But I mean, I can't believe I'm playing devil's advocate and trying to find a way
yeah,
to
I
help
can't
Andy
either.
justify this thing.
What's going on?
But I'm kind of doing that for Jack's benefit because would it have been kinder for her to just lie to him and just say, "No, I didn't cheat," just to help his ego, make him feel a little bit better? Is that kinder?
No, I think it's more respectful, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah, and she never should have put him in that position anyway.
Hmm. Right.
She's just a bad and all round in this situation.
Hmm.
So, moving on to one of the other men in Andy's life, what do you think of Pruitt's reasons for not recommending Jack or Andy? Because I listened back, and last week you said, because he didn't say why, did he, last week that he hadn't recommended them? He just said he wasn't recommending them.
Yeah.
And you said you thought that his reasons for doing it were purely selfish and that he didn't want someone progressive coming in and changing the way that 19 was run, that he was old school and he's seeing 19 as his legacy. He wanted someone old school to come in and run the station as he would have it run, to kind of maintain the status quo, if you like. That was what you thought last week.
Yeah, and I still pretty much feel that way.
That's what I was going to say. So the reasons that he gave this week
Yeah.
are because he didn't think that they'd gone about it the right way, that they'd compromised the situation, presumably because of the affair. I guess that's what he means by that, and then their behaviour towards one another thereafter, and that picking one of them would disrupt the family. So I was going to say to you, yeah, do you call BS on all of that then,
Uh-huh.
and just stick to your reasons from last week?
Yes, I do. 100%.
Okay.
What do you think?
No, I think that he's a very honest and noble guy, and I think that he's made a noble decision in not recommending them. And he knows that it's going to materially change his relationship with Andy
Hmm.
by doing that. And he knows that he's going to have to tell Andy that that's what he's done.
Hmm.
But I think he also knows the dangers of having a fractured team and a lack of trust in the captain. And I think that he really believes that he's done the right thing and that he's done it for the right reasons. And he does admit that part of the reason that he didn't recommend them is that they lied to him. He does put that in his list of things, you lied to me. But I think that as well as that being kind of personally hurtful, I think it also shows that they knew what they were doing was wrong. So then that shows a lack of self control and a lack of respect for the team and the uniform and the institution generally. So I think that, rightly or wrongly, and I do think that probably there is a little bit of upset and anger in there that they did have this affair behind his back, but I think that that's not all personal. I think some of that is professional and that he feels let down by these two people who did the wrong thing. I think if they'd come forward and said, "Here's the thing, we've been, playing Scrabble in the
Hmm.
turnout room,"
Hmm.
then I think that he would have been initially disappointed, but would have said, "Okay, well, there's things we've got to go through. You need to disclose." And I think he would have been cross for a little while, but I think he would have got over it. But the fact that they didn't do that and they just carried on and he had to catch them in the act, I think, you know, says that they knew they were doing wrong. And if you know that you're breaking the rules,
Hmm.
then should you be the one in charge of enforcing the rules?
But I mean, I feel like Pruitt breaks the rules when he finds it convenient. He's not this all be all end all, great 100% of the time captain. I mean,
No, But then has he not earned the right because he's been a captain for so long? And also the rules that I think that if you break protocol in order to save a life,
Hmm.
and because you genuinely think that it's the right thing to do, like Maya did with the kid
Hmm.
um, that got her demoted. Spoiler alert, guys, sorry. Then no one's watching this for the first time if they're listening to this podcast. But but yeah, I think that that is different to carrying out a secret affair with a subordinate for months
Okay.
behind everybody's back. I think that those are two different things. And I think that probably at a certain point, you've earned the right to be a little bit of a maverick and a little bit of a rule breaker, but that there are also different degrees of rule breaking.
Okay.
And do you know what? I think I'm with him. I believe that
Okay.
I believe him when he says that those are his reasons. And I agree with him.
Okay.
And actually, I've just thought about this while I've been talking, but I think that during the call at the garage, Jack and Andy proved why they weren't ready to be captain. Jack was sitting in the corner getting huffy, saying there's no happy endings, and gave up. And Andy was more worried about Jack and Ryan interacting and what that meant for her and her love life than getting everybody out of the garage. And it was Maya who focused on the task in hand, tried consistently to get them out of the situation, and then had to buoy up Andy when she was getting down.
Hmm.
So, so actually thinking about it, yeah, I'm with him. I'm with him.
Okay. That's fair. You gave good reasoning. Okay.
Thanks.
Hmm.
Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss in this one?
No.
Nothing that we missed at Joe's, you don't think?
No. I think that was pretty good.
That's our episode then. And what a banger it was. It was an absolute banger
Yeah,
of an
it was
episode.
good.
I didn't see any themes again in this one.
No, I think it was a little bit too sporadic to identify themes for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very incident centric,
Yeah.
but I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was pretty perfect. So yeah, no themes for me. I know that I've started my rewatch of 10, and I know that you're a little bit ahead. You've already
Yeah.
seen the season finale quite recently. But can you remember what you were looking forward to springboarding from episode 9? Or is there anything that still isn't resolved that was brought up in episode 9 that you're looking forward to?
It's so hard to look back to it when
I
we've
know.
already seen, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I think definitely more talk with Ripley and the the final decision and why and what we learn about that as a whole. Um, and even I was thinking about this the other night actually because I randomly think about Station 19. Um,
Don't we all?
how we see Ripley and Vic become a thing because I don't remember how we see
Yeah.
that happen. Because right now Vic's very like anti Ripley, or at least she portrays herself to be, you know,
Yeah, with her little ugh, yuck.
yeah. Kind of how we see that turn and what happens and how we see them become an item. I think that's my number one thing right now.
Yeah. I'm still stuck on your first point, which is how the decision is reached as to who will become captain. Because at some point, Andy must pass the captain's exam and, like, get her. I know she's already passed the written part of the exam, but you know what I mean? She must get her
Yeah,
captain accreditation because we see her later on, obviously, be the interim captain of 23. But I don't recall how any of that comes about. And I don't recall at all how the decision is reached that neither she nor Jack are to become captain. So I'm looking forward to seeing how all of that gets resolved still. Um, who did you think had the best growth in this one?
hmm, that's a tough one.
I struggled with the question in this one as well.
Yeah, that's tough. Oh, geez. Most growth. Maybe Dean,
Yeah.
realizing that he has to come to the decision to end things with JJ.
Oh, to bin
Yeah,
JJ.
maybe if I
Yeah.
had to pick one, I'll say that. I'll stick with Dean.
Yeah. That's a good shout, actually. I, in the end, came to the decision that Travis potentially had the
Hmm.
most growth, like further growing into
Hmm.
more of a leadership role, even though we know that that's not something that he wants to take on. But um, he seemed to do quite well, taking hold of the scene. He seemed a lot more confident than at the sinkhole, I thought. Um, and I actually thought it's not technically in the spirit of the question, but I thought that Maya grew in our eyes, possibly. The character herself didn't have any growth because she already had those qualities, but that maybe her captain like qualities were displayed for us a bit more,
Hmm.
maybe.
Hmm.
What do you think was the best scene, or which was your favourite scene?
Um, I'm gonna say for comedic relief, the scene with Rice and her being convinced that Gibson has feelings for her. I'm gonna pick that one.
I chose that for my favourite bit of dialogue.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the best scene was the water heater explosion with Maya going flying and hitting the wall.
Okay.
I just thought that was really dramatic and really well done.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like
Okay.
that I think that we miss in later episodes and later seasons. I don't think we get the
Yeah.
same kind of intensity at the incidents, but that was really good. Maya
Hmm.
getting thrown against the wall, I thought. Yeah, so I said about my best dialogue being the whole letting Jack down gently from Rice. What was yours?
I think probably the dialogue between Pruitt and Andy when they're on opposite sides of the garage door, and
Oh
he's
yeah,
he's telling her why she needs to, um, step up
push through and
and
survive.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
probably that one.
And then, did you have a most gifable moment in this episode?
Um, Gosh, that's tough too. I can't think of one. What did you come up with?
Well, I thought Maya's face when Rice is talking about the aforementioned
Oh,
letting Jack down
okay.
gently thing,
Yeah.
her face specifically was just like, what the actual fudgeroo?
Yeah. Okay.
I can imagine like a WTF gif for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Or even Dean falling asleep sitting up.
Yeah, that's relatable.
Yeah, I can imagine
Yeah.
like sending that to one of my teammates in a meeting that was running long or
Yeah.
something, like.
Yeah. That's funny.
So, are you going to forego a gifable moment for this episode?
Yeah, I can't think. The tired one I can relate to though.
After your 10-hour drive
Yeah.
last night, bless you.
So I'd probably stick with that one. That's funny.
Excellent. Right. Well, I think that's us done for 109, which means that we've only got
Yeah,
one episode left to do for
we
season one.
do.
The season finale next week, Not Your Hero. And the synopsis slash log line says the heat is on in this roller coaster of emotions episode. A fire breaks out in a skyscraper, and our firefighters are on standby despite desperately wanting to be part of the action. And we know it's going to be a banger because the show's creator, Stacey McKee, was behind the typewriter, and Mr. Boom Bangs
Yes.
and Tenders himself, Paris Barkley, was in the boss's chair.
Yes.
So we
Super
know that's
excited
going to
about this
be
one.
exciting times. All right.
Yes.
Well, shall I let you go and nap and try and get over this 10
If
hour
only I could
drive?
nap. Yes.
Bless your heart. Or have you got stuff to do because it's Labor Day? Have you got plans with the kids?
I think I'm actually just going to be like cleaning and stuff, as much fun as that sounds.
Oh, that does sound exciting. What a
Yeah.
riveting
So
day
cleaning
ahead.
up the house and yeah. Yep.
Lovely. Well, hop to
So,
it then. I shall let you go and put your penny on.
all right.
All right. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.